Welcome back to Minds Through Time. I'm DeMarcus Wilson. History is written by the victors, but it is often miswritten by the critics. Today, we are looking at the architecture of female power. Society loves to reduce brilliant women to their aesthetics, entirely ignoring the ruthless business acumen required to conquer empires. To my right is the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, Cleopatra. To my left, a woman who leveraged the modern digital attention economy to build a multi-billion-dollar global empire, Kim Kardashian. Welcome.
DeMarcus, I understand you bring me here to discuss the architecture of power. But you sit me across from a merchant of vanity. I controlled the Mediterranean. I held the grain supply of Rome in my palm. I spoke 9 languages and commanded navies. She takes photographs of herself for the peasants.
Look, Cleo, I respect the history. Truly. But let's get one thing straight. You inherited a kingdom that was already falling apart, and you ended up losing it to a guy named Octavian. I didn't inherit an empire. I built one from a television show. My private equity firm and my brands have a higher GDP than half the countries operating today. You had navies. I have 360 million people who buy exactly what I tell them to buy within 60 seconds of me posting a link.
You equate the whims of a digital mob to the divine right of a pharaoh. You do not command armies. If your followers turn on you, you lose money. If my subjects turned on me, I lost my head. We are not the same.
Hold on, let's look at the data, because the metrics tell a very different story. You two are eerily identical in your execution. Both of you realized that in a male-dominated society, traditional gatekeepers wouldn't let you in the front door. So you hacked the system using the one currency they couldn't control, their own gaze.
Exactly. Attention is the top of the funnel. You can't convert if they aren't looking.
Cleopatra, when you were exiled, you couldn't just walk into the palace to meet Julius Caesar. You had yourself smuggled in, rolled up inside a carpet, and dropped at his feet. It was a perfectly calculated PR stunt, viral marketing in 48 BC. You bypassed the guards by becoming a spectacle. Kim, you bypassed traditional Hollywood gatekeepers by turning your literal daily life into a spectacle. You both weaponized your own objectification.
I did not just survive on spectacle. Rome needed grain. I had it. I devalued the silver content of the Egyptian currency to stimulate our export economy, making it impossible for Rome to function without my cooperation. They called me a seductress because they were too embarrassed to admit I outtraded them.
Exactly my point. And Kim, they called you famous for being famous, entirely ignoring that you retained equity in your mobile games, optimized your own supply chains, and launched a private equity firm in SKKY Partners. You built SKIMS into a $4 billion company, not to mention passing the baby bar and directly lobbying the president to grant clemency for incarcerated individuals.
You issue royal pardons?
Basically, yeah. I used the leverage of my platform to force politicians to release people who were unjustly imprisoned. If I just ask nicely, they ignore me. If I show up with cameras and millions of people watching, suddenly they find the paperwork to let them out.
I aligned myself with the goddess Isis. I dressed as her. I held my ceremonies in her name. I made the people believe that to go against me was to go against the gods. I created a brand. You made yourself the goddess of your own era. You Monetized their obsession.
And you literally set the beauty standard that companies are still selling today. Every eyeliner brand owes you royalty checks, Cleo. People think we're just the face of the operation. They don't realize we're the ones writing the code for the whole machine. You had to deal with the Roman Senate, I have to deal with the SEC and the media. It's the same game, just different platforms.
Had you been born in Alexandria, Kim, you would have made a very dangerous queen.
And if you were born in Calabasas, you'd definitely be a billionaire.
The architecture of power doesn't care about the era. It only cares about the execution. Whether you are trading grain on the Nile or converting clicks into equity in Calabasas, the ultimate hack is making your enemies underestimate you while you buy the ground they stand on. Thank you to Cleopatra and Kim Kardashian. I'm DeMarcus Wilson for the Iris Journal. Keep scaling.